one thing we as a group were talking about earlier today, I guess it stems from what we perceive to be renewed 49er fan confidence, which I think is just a recency bias thing. It's fine. I'm not saying Niner fans shouldn't be or can't be confident, but it's the same. It's the opposite of what I said last week. I'm like, everyone thinks you're going to just be awful against Philly because you were awful the week before against Seattle. Now everyone thinks you're going to be amazing because you were really good against Philly. Could it be somewhere in between, the same, different? I don't know. I think the Niners will look a lot better than they did 2 weeks ago. But stemming from that, the question is kind of thrown out. What do the 49ers need to do for this game to look different than the one 2 weeks ago? What do they need to do? What advantage do they have so that they can win this football game? So first off, y'all can answer that. What do the Niners need to do for this to look different? 888-957-9570. Any 49er football call all day, you're getting on the air. So fire in. Let's have some fun with it. But in that conversation, you said something that caught my attention because my head goes to Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. I think anytime Kyle Shanahan's coaching, the Niners essentially have a little bit of a coach advantage. Maybe not against Andy Reid, but Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, those are the guys, in my opinion. And I think Brock Purdy has done so many different things already in the playoffs that Sam Darnold does not. That's kind of an edge. But outside of that, I don't see a lot of X's and O's edges in this game. In that conversation, you said something that grabbed my attention. Ricky Pearsall plays or the Niners lose?
Yeah, and I can easily explain that.
Speak on it.
And you go back to Week 18, which was a weird game for a number of reasons. Particularly, Christian McCaffrey had 3 carries for 8 yards in the first half. Not the first drive, the first half. So you couldn't run the ball. And if you look at Seattle and the way they run their defense, they play nickel defense in their base defense. And the way they do it is with 3 safeties. And their safeties are like linebackers. So they have a lot of guys up close to the line of scrimmage. And when they have 2 safeties deep, they cheat up when they know you're going to run it. They rush to the football, they tackle you, and that's what happened last time you played. Now, if you have Ricky Pearsall and he's able to get down the field and run routes, and he's your best route runner, he's your best downfield threat. Juwan's not as fast. Juwan doesn't run the same level of route. Same thing with Demarcus Robinson, Kendrick Bourne, and I won't go further down the list because I think you know what I'm saying as far as the import of what Ricky brings. The one thing you have to do against Seattle is you have to make them respect you. And in the last game, Seattle didn't have to respect you because you went 3 and out. You went 3 and out. You couldn't get anything started. And then when you tried to get the passing game going, you didn't have that real threat to get down the field, and that's what Ricky Pearsall brings. If Ricky plays and he's able to go out there with Juwan Jennings in your base offensive package, which is 2 running backs, 1 tight end, Tongus, or Tongus, as some would say, your 2 wide receivers, including Ricky Pearsall, all of a sudden now those safeties cannot cheat up toward the line of scrimmage and stuff the run so easily. So for me, without Ricky Pearsall, your down the field passing offense is very much muted, and Seattle has a huge advantage.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I get the sort of X's and O's comment that you're making. I just think it's overstated. And I sort of take that as a little bit of a swipe. I know you don't mean it this way, but to me, it's a little bit of a swipe at Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Ricky Pearsall is their best man-beating wide receiver. He's probably their fastest wide receiver. He had a 4.41 40 at the combine. Demarcus Robinson had a 4.59. Kendrick Bourne had a 4.68. I don't even want to look up Juwan Jennings. He's probably running with the offensive lineman as far as 40 times. But as Jerry Rice taught us, a 40 time does not necessarily mean everything when it comes to getting open as a wide receiver. But secondarily, I guess what I would say is, to me, this is so much more about the offensive line. This is so much more about providing time for plays to develop. I very much come from that kind of Tom Brady school, which is if you've got a really good offense and you provide time for your excellent quarterback, whoever my receivers are, there's a way to operate. Is the Pearsall way better? I'll agree with you. But the idea, the concept that without Pearsall, the Niner offense just flat out can't function the way it needs to against this Seattle defense, I disagree.
Yeah, it's not that they can't function. It just makes it a lot harder. And you saw it in Week 18 where you didn't have Pearsall, you had Kittle, and you had McCaffrey, and they absolutely swarmed both. Because if you look at all the passes, and I watched a little bit of the game again today, and now I'm looking at the numbers, Brock Purdy's average air yards per attempt was less than 5, which means it was a lot of this, screen to Kittle, -6, swing pass to McCaffrey, he gets 2 or 3. You didn't have an ability to get much going because everything was a short pass and they rally up and they're a fast defense. And when they have that many players close to the line of scrimmage and they tackle as well as they do, that can't work over and over and over. And that's where, think about Philly, where second play of the game, whoop, you were able to get Demarcus Robinson down the seam for a huge play.
Right, but how'd you do that? You had time.
You had a little bit of time.
I don't see the short passing game that you're referencing. I don't see that as a function of you didn't have somebody who could beat man and get downfield. I saw that as a function of, holy crap, get ball out of hand now, here they come.
And here they come again.
But no, now Trent Williams and dude play better.
Right.
No,
of course,
you play better or you're good. Here's my number one take of the day.
Play better.
If you don't play better, you're going to get your ass kicked.
Sure. And that's all 4 games this weekend. And I don't think that they played necessarily that badly. Seattle just played much, much better than you. So
they got, as Greg Cosell told us, they got physically manhandled. Right. They were outplayed in that game.
And he also said that it doesn't often happen 2 times in a row when you play in that rapid succession. So, and you get Trent. You lose George, but you get Trent. And as we said yesterday, if you had to pick one to lose, unfortunately, you would lose George. This is kind of like the Mary Shag Kill game. You'd rather lose George than Trent.
I mean, you hate even saying it, but you're right. You're right. But to me, it's almost like peel an onion. What's at the center of the onion? To me, at least on
the bulb.
Or the ball.
Right.
Like the ball, the middle of the onion, the core of the earth on offensive football is your quarterback and his line, period. I know Christian McCaffrey's the MVP of the team. I know that George Kittle has such an effect on pass and run, blah, blah, blah. But the quarterback and time, to me, that's what I wish for. That's all that I wish for. And I'll take Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy as a pairing pretty much right next to just about anyone in the NFL if you provide that time. That's it. And that's the job of the offensive line. Are they going to do it on every down this time? Hell no. Seattle's really good. But they need to do it better than they did 2 weeks ago, or Dibs, tomorrow is the end of the season. Period, as far as I'm concerned. Ricky or not.
Well, if you have Ricky, it gives you more of an idea and more of an ability to, if you have time, get down the field and complete a longer pass, because they know you're going to want to use McCaffrey a ton, and you know you want to use McCaffrey a ton. So, yeah, hopefully he gets 25 or 30 touches. That means you have longer drives. And in the last game, you couldn't possess the ball long enough to get him or the offense in a rhythm. And you had Austin Pleasant at left tackle. He did an okay job, but he's not Trent Williams. We can fairly say that. And now you have your O-line. You have all 5 of your starters. So, all right, Shanny, let's go ahead and see how you can scheme it up. And if Pearsall plays, you might see a couple of plays where it's max protect, where you have 2 tight ends and they both stay in. So now you have 7 blockers. You have your quarterback, and you only have 3 guys in the pattern, hoping that maybe Pearsall can double move somebody and make a big play.
I see. And to me, one of the things that popped to my head in watching the Niners beat the Eagles, and you and I have both in many different ways thought this throughout the last couple of years, the NFL is not about wide receivers. And when you make it about wide receivers, you lose. That's the way I see it. I think they're great. I think they're important. I want good ones, all of those things. But when A.J. Brown makes it about himself, you lose. When the Bengals decide that their entire salary cap goes into T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, you lose. But when the Patriots are like, yeah, we'll have him as wide receiver, and we'll take a couple of you guys over there. And then they win 5 rings. That's just the way I see it. So I love Ricky. You know I love Ricky, and I want Ricky out there. But the Niners can win without him. They can win maybe even better with him, But the Niners, to me, this is about Brock and his Big Five in front of him.
Okay.
Yeah, this game is sponsored by Big Five.
Look at you.
Yeah.